So tomorrow we have the Fed decision, and we're going to go over Nvidia in this video because it just got the death touch. The past 3 times that this has occurred, Nvidia has sold off drastically. Does not mean that that has to happen this time, but in this video, we're going to talk about the touch of death. We're going to talk about what exactly that means and where I think Nvidia can pull back to, worst comes to worst. Now, the touch of death here is using one indicator. That's going to be this indicator at the bottom called the BX trender. Basically, we want to look to purchase when price is showing higher lows, which is confirming that we have bullish accumulation. This means that people are buying. And what we want to do is sell when price makes lower highs, just like we see here, because it means that the trend is still bullish, but money is getting pulled out of it. You can see that if we would have done this recently, we would have entered our long position, this is when we turned long on Nvidia back at $106, and we would have closed it out today for an 8% return. Now, the inverse is actually the same. Well, look, we can even show this in another example, okay? So let's go over here. Let's look at this. We start to get bullish accumulation, confirmed higher highs, hold support, confirmed higher highs. From here, right up to where we get lower highs on the BX trender is a 21% move. So that's already 2 for 2. Now, the death touch actually is the opposite. The death touch, we want to short when we make a lower high like this, and we want to cover the short when we make a higher low. Now, I'll tell you personally, I don't like shorting uptrends. What I like to do is use the BX trender, which you can see here, as my signal to take profit. But let's just take a look at what would have happened over the past couple of times that this occurred on Nvidia. And using this exact strategy, guys, is how I was able to call the top all the way back here. And it was how we were able to call the top most recently back here on the 20th of August. Both of those posts blew up. So many people were saying there's no way in hell that this was going to happen, but doesn't mean it's always going to work. This is so freaking potent because this indicator, all it's showing is buy-sell pressure. And so when we're trading at not a discount, but a very, very overpriced market, and we're seeing money getting pulled out, the chances of that continuing to fade are very high. So let's take a look back here on Tuesday, August 20th. Right here, we confirm a lower high. From here, you could have set a stop loss at just a higher high in price, closing above 132, and you can see that our price action sold off 20% before we closed with higher lows on the BX trender. So that's our first sign of a top. The other sign of a top is right up here when we get lower highs on the BX trender. Price ends up selling off down here to about 7%. Then we get a small bounce. Price makes lower lows again, sells off, which is what's like another 17 to 18%. And this will work on multiple different time frames. You can even see here on the weekly, this is where we're able to call the top back here. You get that DINMOC, the lower high. Price ends up selling off down here and over and over and over again. You can use this on so many different time frames. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about is these smart money levels that you see here. In yesterday's video, we drew these out. All these are Fibonacci levels. So basically, if you were to take price from swing high down to swing low, that's where the smart money level would be lined up. If we take price right now from swing high to swing low, you're going to notice that this is our institutional area and normally where we end up rejecting. Now, I was expecting to see Nvidia push back to 120, which we ended up hitting and rejecting. Best case, 124 to 126. Now, when price is making higher lows, you can see each one of these institutional buy ranges, not making lower lows, that's a downtrend. They're making higher lows. However, all of these resistance areas are making lower highs. This is what's called a compression. And during a compression, we will squeeze until we eventually break this resistance level, so 125, and then we'll break out to all-time highs. Or if we end up breaking this support level, we'll sell back off into 86, 87, 88. And so I believe that there's a very high chance that we see Nvidia reject off 120 like we did, pull back into our institutional buy range of about 110, 107, 105, and then maybe continue to squeeze until October before we get a massive breakout into the rest of the year back into all-time highs. Now, that would probably have us break out into November. but we have to see what happens. At this point in the market overall, I am more bullish than I am bearish simply because I'm following the trend. But I have a lot of hedges in place because Nvidia is setting up this way and QQQ is also setting up this way. So with that sign of the lower highs today on the BX trender, I think that there's a very high chance that we will see Nvidia reject in the next couple of days. If you want to learn more about all of the indicators that you see in this video, as well as the proprietary settings and the step-by-step trading system that I've built, you can take all of our courses completely free with the link in the description.